Oh, hello, welcome to my second ever sketchbook flip through. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Lani, I am 30 and I'm trying to learn how to paint in my right page. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is my second ever sketchbook. This is the etchr Lab watercolor sketchbook in the A6 size, in the landscape way. And this is the hot pressed watercolor paper. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. But before we jump into the paintings, I want to talk about so essentially, I have two minor problems with this sketchbook. I love it and I truly recommend it, but I have two minor issues. And the first issue I can only show you when it's still closed. So the outside of the sketchbook is a white cotton, which is really cool because you can paint on it, you can make it your own. But after using it for a little more than 2 months, this looks disgusting. I'm not sure if you can see it in this slide. I'm going to maybe insert some close-up pictures. Let's open this up, and here we have the first page. As you can see, I started the sketchbook on June 12th, 2026, and I finished it yesterday, August 25, 2026. So I used it for July and August, yeah, for little more than 2 months, which is, I think, fair for a sketchbook of this size. On the first page, I swatched out all of my Roman Schmoll watercolors, which are my pride and joy. I love my Roman Schmoll watercolors. And I actually got this Roman Schmoll set and this sketchbook together. And the funny thing is, I just finished the sketchbook and I'm also finishing up a lot of the half pans from this set. So maybe I'm flying through my art supplies. On the other side, I have swatched out my dried gouache paints just to know what I'm working with. Here is the first page. I was just testing out the page here, so no real concept. But I was using my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. I even said having fun with my Albrecht Dürer pencils here. These are watercolor pencils, which means that you can use them as a color pencil, but also you can activate them with water. So they are quite fun. You can see how they look activated or how they look used like colored pencils. I just made a flower here, and a lot of our family lives in the Netherlands. So I drew a little picture of Amsterdam, saying dreaming of Amsterdam. And I also made a sketch of my favorite Portland leather goods bag, which is the Portland leather goods Aspen. It's my favorite bag. I have a whole video about it, but I wanted to draw it because I just love it so much. On the next page, we were at the Fort White reservation center, I guess, or like nature center in Winnipeg. And we were just checking out the bison. I don't think I have ever seen a bison in person before, and it was really cool that we could walk up pretty close and just see them laying around a little lake and having fun. So I tried to sketch it real quick on location, and then when we got home, I made this cute little painting of a bison. With this painting, I painted it live, and this was the first ever live painting. I was rushing because normally I paint in coffee shops and you have all the time in the world to actually paint in a coffee shop, but because we were sitting in the sun and the bison were moving and my husband was waiting for me, I wanted to be really fast with my painting. So I feel like this specific painting lacks a lot of depth and color, but I still love it because when I look at it, I remember that day in Winnipeg and it was such a magical day. And with this bison painting, I love it so much. For this one, I use my dried gouache and he just looks so cute. So I'm really, really proud of it. And as you can see, I kind of use my sketchbook as like a visual journal, and I like to leave messages about the day when I painted something. Okay, this painting is upside down. We are going to get to it. But in Winnipeg, we went to IKEA to have some Swedish meatballs quite a few times. I grew up in Europe, so Swedish meatballs are something I love. And I wanted to sketch the IKEA and their food, which I think is fun. Again, maybe more contrast or like more texture would be fun. But on the other side, I painted Saskatchewan because Saskatchewan is one of the most amazing places on earth. The prairies are breathtaking, and just the landscape, I can't put it to words. And just wanted to paint it, and I'm pretty happy with this painting. I used some watercolors and my watercolor pencils. And yeah, I like it how it turned out. I'm still a beginner, as you know, so this result is something I'm proud of. Now I can show you my second minor issue. I'm not sure if this is something that only my sketchbook has an issue, but you can see quite a few pages are pretty loose, and for the price I'm not happy about it, but I never heard anybody else talk about this, so maybe I just have a few looser pages. Okay, so the next page, this is so silly. So we were in Regina, and there was some article that in the first time in a decade, Chick-fil-A lost out on the best fast food restaurant title, and Jersey Mike's sub won. And we were like, what the hell is a Jersey Mike sub? So we went to check it out, and it was okay, but I wanted to sketch out that we went there, and it is a sandwich. And on the other side, I sketched a Mounties outfit because we went to one of the museums where they showcased a bunch of Mounties accessories and history. So it was fun to sketch that out. And we were there on Canada Day, so we went to this island, I guess, in Regina. I don't really remember, but this is the Queen Elizabeth II Gardens. And I tried to sketch like one of the buildings. I'm okay with these two sketches, but okay, if you are on TikTok, you know what Elle's Cafe is.
I'm Al from Al's Cafe, and it's an absolutely beautiful day here today in Regina, Saskatchewan. Come for an ice cream cone. Maybe take one of the city scooters out for a spin.
It became this TikTok sensation of an ice cream shop, and we went there because we are cringe like that. And actually the ice cream was amazing, and the place is amazing, and I wanted to include the logo on this page, but I think this logo made the whole page too busy, so I wish I didn't include it. Next up, now we are in Calgary, I believe. Yeah, so I painted my husband not very well because he went to the Calgary Stampede, and of course we had to dress up as cowboys. So I painted him, but he said he hopes he doesn't look like that, and you know what? I am with him. I love the colors. I have more depth in my colors in this painting, but the sketch itself is not the best. And then this scene is from a park we went to. It was so funny. We checked out this park. Was it in Red Deer or in Calgary? Not sure. Anyways, we went to this park and we were like, okay, let's have a picnic. But it turns out everybody in the city goes there to like walk their dogs. So we literally had a picnic with so many dogs around, and as you can imagine, it became really funny real fast. But it was such a pretty place. I wanted to paint it. I like how many colors I was able to include, but I feel like this part is getting really mushy, so I would have waited more to let the underpainting dry the next time. Okay, next page. This is our first and I think only full-length page, and I wanted to do something different. I was, let's say, not doing well for a few days, like mental health-wise, and I wanted to do something, I don't know, edgier or more emo. And I made this painting with watercolor and neocolor tools. Not my best work, but I needed this, so it's a painting. Next up, we have this little painting of this tree. I think it's cute. I use some watercolor and neocolors because I just got my neocolors at this point and I wanted to test them out more. And I think it's okay. Like, it's cute. I'm not crazy about it, but it's cute. But the next painting, I'm crazy about that. That's why I have a sheet of this protective paper, so nothing can destroy this painting because this is my pride and joy. I honestly think this is maybe the best painting I did so far, and I'm so happy about it. I went to this summer art retreat online workshop thing organized by the Pigeon Letters by Peggy, and it was amazing, and I did so many workshops, and this was one of them. But this painting I'm so proud of. I think I finally used enough deep colors to make the scene have depth, and I was also able to make the clouds and the reflections look like each other, so it looks realistic. And this whole painting, I'm just so proud. Okay, I'm just yapping about it. I'm just so proud of it. I only started to paint 3 months ago, And I'm so proud of my progress, and this painting, I think, showcases that progress so well. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video, I'm doing a whole series about how I'm trying to become an artist in my 30s, so hit subscribe if you want to come along on the journey. And then we arrive at my least favorite painting. I did this at the same workshop series than this one, which I love, but this one, not really. The instructor was really nice, but she tried to do, I mean, she did 2 paintings in 40 minutes. So both paintings were, I don't want to say lower quality, but I don't have a better way to describe it, because if you compare this concept and execution and end result to this, I think you understand what I mean. And I was kind of heartbroken because the reference photo she posted about the poppies we were supposed to paint were really interesting and detailed. I was like, oh, I want to see how we do that. And then we did this, and I was so heartbroken. And she was so nice, so inspiring. So I think this is on me. Maybe I didn't read the description very well. But yeah, this painting kind of breaks my heart, because I was excited to paint poppies, or like a poppy field. And this is not something I'm really proud of. Oh, this was so much fun. Same workshop series. And there was this seashell painting workshop, and we tried to do it with my sister. And I already told you this before, but my sister is really the painter. Like, she is painting since she was born, and she's amazing. And even she was struggling to keep up with the workshop. So you can imagine me, like, I'm painting for 3 months. I was so lost. So I ended up giving up on that painting and just used some neo colors to make it like a fun, colorful version of it, and not a realistic seashell, because, yeah, I failed miserably, but still, it was so much fun to like paint with my sister, and yeah, it still holds a lot of good memories. Next up, same workshop series, something else we did with my sister, and I am okay with this painting. I'm not amazed. We didn't choose it because we were really in love with the concept. Just wanted to paint together. One more thing. So we did. This is a classic, like, layered mountain view. And I think it was fun. Not my fave. And here are the colors I was deciding on. I kind of wish I used Bugaloo instead for the painting. I think it would have been maybe more interesting. But still, a fun memory and a fun painting. Again, same workshop series, guys. I really made the best of it. This time we were painting a watercolor owl, but you can see this is not watercolor. So what happened is, the workshop started and the artist already sketched out an owl. And I was like, I don't know how to draw. So I started to sketch it. But I was messing up so many times that I couldn't erase my mistakes at some point, and I was like, okay, I can do watercolor on all of these marks. Like, you will see everything I messed up underneath the watercolor. So I just took my dried gouache and I did it in a gouache painting instead. When I finished it, I hated this so much. I was like, this looks nothing like an owl. What the hell is this? But now, I think it looks really cute. Now I love this little owl, and I'm kind of proud of him. And here I talk about that sometimes you have to do hard things and mess them up the first time. And for these types of paintings, I have to start with a good sketch and go from there, which is true. And because I had like a white space here, I just did like an owl's feather with some watercolor pencil. And you can see how much texture you can create with a watercolor pencil. It's just insanely good. I know I'm glazing watercolor pencils so much in every one of my videos, but truly the best thing ever. Then I tried to do a painting from a photo I found on Pinterest. Not my favorite, like, this is supposed to be the shadow of the leaf here. Not great. Let's just say this painting is not great, but I already mixed up some of this nice orangey color. So I did this desert scene, which is, I think, cute. I mean, we have some camels and like sand dunes. I think it's okay. I like the sun. Next up, we have some apples. This is from the same workshop series. You can see that the sand color from the other side of the paper kind of came over to this side. It's fine. But again, same workshop series, and I kind of liked this workshop. We started with one color to just understand the shadow part of the apple, and our goal was to make as many apples as we can in the time frame. So by the time you did your third one or fourth one, your technique became even better. And I like this idea, I want to do this more. The only thing I'm not happy about is that I used moon glow for the shadow parts. Was it moon glow? Maybe oxide black. And I love granulation in watercolor, but I think this is too much. So I wish I used something else for the shadows. I like the blue ones a lot. So I think I learned a lot from this workshop, because sometimes you just have to do something over and over again to actually get the hang of it. Okay, next up, I'm kind of proud of this. Okay, I painted this plein air at the Tyrrell Dino Museum, and this museum is located in the Canadian Badlands, which is, oh guys, breathtaking. Such a beautiful place. And I normally paint in cafes or whatever if I paint outside of my home. But this time I was like, I'm going to sit down and just paint what I see. And I was not expecting how many people will stop by and talk to me and compliment me, or just, say like, hey, it's so cool that you are painting outside. It was such a nice experience. The funniest thing was, I was so in the beginning. I literally put 2 green lines on the paper, and this lady came up and she was like, oh my God, this is amazing, la 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 la. And I was like, woman, you are so nice. But I just had 2 green streaks on the paper, like, give me time, okay? So yeah, I'm kind of happy with this painting. I feel like the colors are harmonizing. I have dark darks and light lights. At least it's better than in the previous paintings. I like the texture of it. I used some neo colors on top of the painting. So yeah, it was so much fun, and I'm so proud of this, and I will always remember this painting session because so many people were so nice to me. And the funniest thing is, so I was painting, I was almost done, and then people came by and they were just talking about how they saw baby rattlesnakes where they came from, like a few meters away from me. And I was like, okay, that's my cue. I'm not sitting on the ground if there are baby rattlesnakes next to me. So I just packed up in like 2 seconds and kind of ran away. But this is at a museum, so it's safe and whatever. But I was still like, no, I'm not hanging out with rattlesnakes. Okay, bye. Okay, next up, another funny story. So this is, I have to be honest with you, I see it on the screen right now. Like on a video, this painting looks really bland and one-tone, but I promise you in person it looks that it has more depth. So I have to work on that. I have to understand why my camera sometimes picks up things more bland than they are. But this was a quick sketch because we ran out of gas in the middle of nowhere, Alberta. So what happened is we have an issue with our car, and because of it, it was kind of lying about how much gas we still had in it, and we were supposed to have enough to reach the next gas station, because guys, in middle of nowhere, Canada, you go from one gas station to the next one because there is nothing in between. Like, this is how you travel. And we were supposed to reach the other one, the next one, and we didn't. So we were waiting there for like the next 2 hours for the CAA to bring us some gas so we can reach the next gas station. And I painted this really quick. This was a quick sketch and a good memory because it ended up being really fun. Again, I use watercolors with some neo colors on top. Okay, these next few sketches will come from the historic resort ranch, which is an amazing place. We were there for 2 days, and it's a historic ranch. Like, this ranch is 120 years old. It's older than the provincial lines of Canada. It was so much fun. We were sleeping in the old farmhouse, and we were going horseback riding and just hiking. It was amazing, and we had amazing food. So we had the ranch hall bar for breakfast. Like, you go there for breakfast, and we had a hearty breakfast. Again, I wish I did more texture on this painting, but I did it while eating, so I'm okay with that. I think it's cute. I think this is a cute memory to keep. And I also wish I mapped out the ranch hall bar letters better, because I started at the R of bar because I was like, if I start with the last letter, I will have space for everything. But by the time I finished whole, I was like, there is no way wrench is going to be fitting on this page. So I just did R for the wrench. At least I did it. Now I know how to do it the next time. These pages look really bad, and I know that. But this was on purpose, kind of. I started to watch Sandy Hester's videos, and I just love how loose she paints and sketches. So I was like, let's take some new colors and just try to sketch what I see, but like really broadly. And this is my husband sitting on a chair. I don't think you can make that out. And then I tried to do like a view on the porch of the old farmhouse, and I don't really like it. I think there is too much going on, too many colors. I guess I don't like the bloom here. But at least I tried. I want to get more loose in my sketches and paintings. So I tried. Let's say that. Okay, this is so funny, but you have to have the context. So one of my regular viewers commented one time that she sometimes paints while she's horseback riding. And I was like, so much fun. I want to try that when we are on the ranch. But the thing is, I never rode a horse before. Like, this was my first time. But I was like riding the horse and thinking, oh no, I can't like paint on a horse. I'm not safe enough to do that. I'm not good enough to do that yet. But it would have been so much fun to say like, hey, I painted on a horse. And I was like, it is what it is. But then I said to myself, I didn't say I have to paint something good or like a full-on landscape. I can just paint whatever. So I literally grabbed my painting stuff out of my bag, did a quick setup, and did this smiley face on the horse. And that's why the smiley face has these swerves in the smile, because I was going up and down on the horse while painting this. Okay, this is still on the ranch. I was just swatching out all of my colors in my watercolor palette in my current setup, because I was like, I feel like I have too many mid-tones in my setup and not enough brights and darks. And when I painted out these swatches, I was like, yeah, this feels like too many mid-tones. So the next day I came back and I was like, okay, can I create real darks? And I was able to, especially with moon glow and oxide black and Prussian blue. I was able to create dark, almost indigo-like blues here, but still I felt like I am missing bright in my paintings. And I was swatching and mixing and whatever. And by the way, these mixes with the oxide black, amazing. Love those. Like for landscapes, this kind of texture is just truly amazing. But still, not enough brights. So a few days later, picked up a trio set from Rosa Gallery. It has an ultramarine because my French ultramarine is running out from my Roman small set. So I was like, okay, I need an ultramarine anyway. It has a cadmium red medium, and they call it an Auroline, but it's BY150. So it's yellow. It's a clean yellow. And I was like, I have two brights this way, because this cadmium red medium is a way brighter red. I mean, I didn't even have a true red, because queen red is way more pink than red. So I have a bright orangish red now, and I have BY150 because queen gold that I have in my palette normally is dirtier, kind of bright still because it's a gold color, but still like this is more of a bright yellow. So I started to mix with them. And the thing is that ultramarine blue and cadmium red medium neutralize each other, as you can see. So you can see that purple is pretty neutral. It's almost like an ultramarine rose. And the wine colors are also quite neutral. So yeah, these are not great for like a really minimalist palette. I would have queen red instead of cadmium red medium, just because I think I even tried it on the next page. I mean, more swatches. I don't even know what this is. But I did another trio colors to see what I can achieve. And for this one I used Prussian blue, queen red, and queen gold as my minimalist palette. And you can see the colors are much more bright or interesting And you can do warmer colors and cooler colors as well. So if I would do like a 3-color trio minimalist palette, this is much more like my vibe, but I still appreciate this option as well. And I mean, I will not use them as a trio. I will put these colors into my palette, but still. And I did a bunch of color swatches to actually understand color theory better and my colors better. And because I also struggle with transparency and opacity with my watercolors, like I don't know how to layer and glaze as well as I want to. So I did this painting, which is, okay, so what happened is I did a bunch of layers of just paint, building on each other to understand how glazing works. And then I really like this green and blue and yellow, I don't know, random painting I did. And I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a church window, so we can do something fun. Maybe I can make it into like a window, so you can just only look through the window to see the colors. This is horrible. I wish I didn't paint it over the swirly colors. They were so cute. But again, I have some issues with layering, so on this page I was just like, let's layer. Let's make every mix a bit more opaque, a bit more opaque, a bit more opaque, but still wet enough to actually work as a watercolor. So this was so much fun. I just painted random flowers over top of each other. I didn't even think about composition or anything. I was just like putting on more paint to see how I can layer and make things less opaque, more opaque. And I think this was a really interesting workshop to do for myself. I feel like I understand layering and glazing and generally just how to deal with watercolor paints a bit better. And now we are on the last page, and as a thank you to this sketchbook that was my best friend for 2 months, I painted these 2 flowers with ultramarine because I love French ultramarine. I love the granulation, and as a thank you to the notebook, I just painted flowers for it. Yeah, this was the last page in my second ever sketchbook. I mean, yes, you can still see more swatches. This is what I did when I got my oxide black watercolor, which became such a favorite. This is kind of like a granulating black, and you can just add it to different colors to make it textured, and I love it. And I have my Derwent watercolor pencils swatched out as well. This is also something I had in my sketchbook. This is a sheet of plastic paper. What I did with this was, if I was working, for example, on this page, I would put it here. So the paints that reactivate because of the damp paper wouldn't transfer to the next page, and this would catch, this like plastic sheet would catch all the extra paint that would reactivate here. So what did I learn from this sketchbook? First of all, etchr sketchbooks are amazing and I can't wait to use more. The second thing is that I really like hot press paper. So hot press paper is watercolor paper, but it's smooth. And I like it a lot because it's also great for gouache. I like a smoother gouache result. And generally people also recommend hot pressed smoother paper for watercolor pencils or neocolor tubes because on smoother paper color pencils and like crayons were better. And I will definitely use more hot pressed watercolor paper in my future because I love it a lot, but now I want to use more cold pressed just to test it out as well. Another thing I learned is that I need a bigger sketchbook because this is generally the size of my hand and I felt so restricted. I got this size because, as I said, we are traveling across Canada and I just wanted to sketch on the go and I wanted a sketchbook that's easy to grab. But the thing is, I feel like it's too small. So my next sketchbook will be definitely bigger, definitely cold pressed, and definitely etchr lab. Thank you so much for joining for my second ever sketchbook flip through. It means a lot to me, and see you in the next one.